My mother has always cooked from when I could remember. I definitely learned to cook a lot from her. And then I got to watch my grandfather cook. We would spend parts of our summers in New Orleans visiting family. It's just always been something that I've always felt very comfortable doing. Even through high school, college, it was something that I've always loved.
I'm going home, I'm going home, I'm going home, I'm going home.
Growing up for me in Bloomington, Minnesota was pretty typical, you know, same things most kids did. The only difference is we were one of a few black families at that time in Bloomington.
The population of students of color was about 3% in 1966 when we came up. And at the time my kids grew up, they had struggles in schools in terms of acceptance. You know, I was very active in the civil rights movement when I was in high school and college. And then when I came to Minnesota, I mean, I belonged to the NAACP and other organizations, but once you get involved with raising a family, you're more concerned about how the world treats them.
Going home, yes, I'm going home.
Krewe Restaurant is an homage to my family's heritage, in particular my mother's heritage. She's one of 10 children born and raised in New Orleans. My grandfather was a chef on a cargo ship that would leave from the port of New Orleans and go all around the world. And so some of these recipes here are recipes that have been passed down from him to my mother, now to me.
My dad, I remember after he retired, when I would go visit, my dad would have something on the stove by 7 a.m. in the morning. Whether it was red beans or spaghetti or gumbo or what have you, it would be on there simmering all day. And when the mailman came, he would offer him something to eat. When the garbage man came, he'd get something to eat. Neighbors would walk by, they'd all be invited to either eat something that he had cooked or to drink some wine that he had fermented in the attic. And that's what I remember. It's an act of love, and just cooking was to be enjoyed by those who, you know, who came in contact with you.
Hey, hey, I got the sauce, yeah. Hey, I got the sauce, yeah. Hey.
My first job was at an apple orchard that was just right outside of our high school. So that kind of sparked a passion for baking and knowledge on how many apple varieties they are. And then from that job, I went to a small bakery. And then at that point, I just knew that why waste any more time, go to a culinary school, get my degree, and dive into the industry.
Erin Ray is my partner in life and in love. We met each other about a little over 6 years ago.
In Flour and Flour, my goal was to incorporate edible flowers. I believe that plants in general, but also flowers, the sight of them just brings some sense of peace to your body and to your day. So having that in there with the baked goods and the coffee, like those three things are the best way to wake up in the morning.
We think that New Orleans is a great representation of the original melting pot of the United States. You find inspiration or ingredients from all over the world. Because it was a port city too, it was kind of a gateway through the Mississippi to bring products northward. One of our favorite things to do when we go to New Orleans is go to Central Market and Grocery and have a muffaletta, which is a Sicilian sandwich brought originally from Sicily. We go across the street and eat beignets at Café Du Monde. The beignet is essentially a fried bread, an Indian fried bread with powdered sugar on it.
I have a serious sweet tooth. I think I eat at least one cookie a day. And here, what I love most is the bread pudding for dessert. It was something that I grew up on but never liked, but then when I was introduced to Mateo's mom and her bread pudding, it just reawakened my soul for this weird dessert. And she was able to give me her secrets, and it just opened my eyes to a whole nother level of what you can do in the pastry world, especially when you implement family recipes.
When I go down there and to spend time with my family, we are a prototypical New Orleans family. Lots of get-togethers with family and friends around food, and that's kind of the essence of New Orleans, is there's music, there's food, and there's family. Those three are really big for us and our family, and also big here in Krewe. Flavors and tastes of New Orleans are really vast and vary. You know, it's been owned by several different countries before it was part of the United States, and so there's a great Spanish influence, there's an Italian influence, there's a French influence, you've got a Native American influence, you've got an African influence. Depending on the dishes that you'll have kind of a combination of those. Say, for instance, our gumbo has sirloin in it, it's got chicken, it's got flour, it's got filet, which is a Native American, it's ground up sassafras root. Usually has the trinity in it, which is white onion, green bell pepper, and celery.
He pretty much follows my recipes, although he tweaks them a little bit. He makes an excellent jambalaya. In fact, because he's so consistent in terms of the ingredients and how they put in it, it always comes out the same. Mine, it varies.
Our jambalaya has a really high tomato base to it. My grandfather his first cooking experience was with an Italian family in their grocery store. And so he's got a lot of Italian influences in some of his cooking.
His gumbo is much better than mine, too. I think he's found a different way of putting the roux in. I wait till it's cooked and stir it in, and he mixes it in early with all of the meat and the veggies, and so it tends to get more flavorful. So I think I'm going to adopt his way from now on.
My favorite thing on the menu is the red beans and rice, simply because when we lived with his mom for a couple years, when we would get home from a long shift at work, you could smell the red beans and rice outside on the sidewalk as you walked up to the house, and you knew that you're about to get a big, nice dinner and fall asleep really fast. That right there is kind of the smell of family for me and my new family, which is Mateo.
Red beans and rice, we had about 3 days a week. My mom didn't work. There were 7 of us at home, so, I mean, we were probably considered poor. Probably on Friday, we'd do the traditional Catholic, no meat. But usually shrimp was really cheap. I remember the shrimp guy with his wagon going through the neighborhood, shrimp, 3 pounds for $1, little shrimp. So you could make a nice jambalaya or a gumbo at that point. But gumbo was for special occasions. Jambalaya was for special occasions too, because of the cost involved.
Yesterday's too late for haste. Tomorrow's just too far away. You want to make a major change. There's no perfect day than today.
Starting this restaurant has always been a dream of mine. It is to keep our family history alive. My son works with us, and hopefully it's something I'll be able to pass on to him, and he can take the mantle, and I will continue these recipes down through him, and maybe some new ones that we may develop together. Hopefully we can teach. That's the biggest thing, is being able to teach other people in here how to do things inside of a restaurant correctly. And so I've got a couple high school students that work in the kitchen for us, and so they've expressed wanting to go to culinary school. I'm trying to give them as much of that before they would make that decision as I can.
Strong comeback for when I was in setback. Tomorrow is a promise. You can't put up your problems. And if I'm jumping off the porch, I know my people following. Such an eager beaver, but be a humble learner. This is my moment. You gotta wait your turn, bro. I'm who the people yearn for.
I'm from Minnesota. I grew up here, so my spiciest thing I ever ate was tacos and taco seasoning. That's as crazy as my dinners got growing up. So being able to go down to New Orleans and be immersed in his family and the way that he was raised was probably the most special time for me during this journey, because I got to see how he became the person that he is, even through his mom and then his uncle and aunts and everybody else, and then also see the culture in New Orleans and how that shapes the cuisine itself. And so being able to immerse ourselves in those trips, I mean, the doors that we got from New Orleans is kind of a daily reminder for us to remember those times that we spent there, but also to remember the culture that's behind everything.
To be about change, then you gotta be bold. Introduce solutions for the young and the old. Do more than you was told. Be lethal with your mind, uplift them with your words, and make them set the tone. And you walk in your truth, nobody else is you. And when they say it can't be done, say you're living proof. And watch them all salute.
I think these areas appeal to us, one, because the access to land. That was a big thing for us, a big thing for a lot of folks who look like me, either people of color, African Americans. Access to land is something that is not necessarily that easily attainable. I think that was the linchpin for us to be able to do all the things that we wanted to do. Not only grow food for the restaurant, but also put programs in place for our nonprofit to show other kids who may be either from rural areas or urban areas about farming.
Steve and Mary Peterson, the owners of the farm, it's where Steve grew up. They donated the land to us simply because they are in their retirement stages of life and they wanted to be a part of something bigger and better as far as helping kids heal through food and farming.
We're hoping to have some technological pieces here, some Bluetooth soil monitoring equipment, helping them to be able to write maybe some code for that kind of thing, so where it can give information back. You know what I mean? Like, there's tons of things that kids who don't want to put their hands in the dirt, but they may be like technologically advanced, or that's what they want to get into. There's a way for them to be in the agricultural business, and hopefully being as on a smaller scale, they can help small scale farmers kind of regain their momentum that they need to have.
The rural areas on that end appeal to us with the land, but it also appeals to me the conversations that we can have and hopefully the change that we can make in the kind of hearts and minds of people in the rural area who kind of look at the city area from afar and maybe don't necessarily understand it or understand the people there. And so there's a judgment that gets put into place. And we hopefully have created a space here that people can come in and have some of those conversations around food, which makes everything easier, and also be able to sit across from people who may not look necessarily like them or have the same beliefs as them, but hopefully they'll be able to come to an understanding that they both want basically the same things in life. They're just looking at it through two different lenses. That's part of what our nonprofit organization is about. It's about bridging communities, both rural and urban, getting them together around food and farming to kind of show kids not only where the food comes from, but also what you can do with it through some entrepreneurial initiatives that we'd have, where kids would be able to create micro businesses around either food that they're growing that they can sell, or products that they can make from the food that we would grow, or the animals that we would grow. And so being able to give kids an opportunity to not only understand where their food and food systems come from, but how to make them be better.
If they can go back and just for a minute think that my life could be bigger than what I think it was before I came here, like, that's all that we want, is for them to just dream just a little bit.
I personally have grown immensely, but I think it wasn't until Mateo and I moved out here that we discovered what we can do together, and how harmonious not only our love for food, but our love for each other, and when you put them both together, what we can create. And I think that's the most exciting thing for me, is waking up to my soulmate, I think, and finding each day a new recipe or a new technique, and remember that we still have forever to do this. And I think that's the most exciting thing that the journey has brought us, because the journey will never end. You know, every day we're growing and learning, and that's the beauty in it.
Postcards is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Additional support provided by Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farms, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota. On the web at shalomhillfarm.org. Alexandria, Minnesota, a year-round destination with hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for memorable vacations and events. More information at explorealex.com. The Lake Region Arts Council's Arts Calendar, an arts and cultural heritage funded digital calendar showcasing upcoming art events and opportunities for artists in West Central Minnesota. On the web at lrac4calendar.org. Playing today's new music plus your favorite hits, 96.7 Cram. Online at 967cram.com.